Just rack off. That is the blunt, unfiltered message currently echoing across the Australian continent. And it isn't coming from a small group of online trolls. It's coming from tens of thousands of hardworking taxpayers who feel they are being played for fools. For years, the narrative surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has been one of freedom, authenticity, and a desperate search for privacy. But a series of astonishing leaks and newly surfaced financial documents has just pulled back the curtain on their 2026 Australian visit. What was supposed to be a triumphant return to the land that once adored them has devolved into what critics are calling a desperate pay-to-play fake royal tour. The public is no longer just whispering their frustrations behind closed doors. They are signing their names to a movement that is growing by the hour, fueled by a deep-seated sense of betrayal. And the reason for this sudden, fierce backlash? A trail of evidence suggests the couple hasn't been entirely honest about who is really footing the bill for their high-risk security and sprawling luxury lifestyle. Back in 2018, the vibe was electric. Australia couldn't get enough of the newlyweds. But as the saying goes, time reveals all. And the version of the Sussexes landing in 2026 looks nothing like the couple who once charmed the world with their smiles and apparent sincerity. This isn't about royalty anymore. It's about revenue. From ticket prices that cost more than a used car to bizarre forced roommate policies at exclusive retreats, the details emerging from this trip feel less like a diplomatic mission and more like a high-stakes commercial cash grab. But that was only the beginning of the controversy. What started as a ripple has turned into a tidal wave that the Sussex camp never saw coming. Over 44,000 Australians have now signed a formal petition on change.org with a message that, "This is impossible to misinterpret. We don't want you here." This isn't a vague request for them to stay home. It's a direct strike at the heart of the Sussexes' remaining credibility. The petition specifically targets the use of taxpayer funds for a visit that is, by all accounts, a private business venture. Every single day, hundreds of new names are added to the list, with the counter ticking upward like a time bomb. People are moving fast, driven by a frustration that has been building for years. They remember the Prince Harry who stood in the pouring rain, talking to drought-stricken farmers. Now they see a man who only speaks if the check is large enough to cover his security detail. But the real story isn't just the number of signatures. It's the chilling silence from those in power that has followed. Usually, when high-profile figures face this kind of public pushback, local politicians step in to smooth things over or offer a word of support. Not this time. From Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to the premiers of Victoria and New South Wales, the response has been a deafening, coordinated silence. Government agencies are practically running in the other direction to avoid being associated with the trip. The Department of Home Affairs and the Prime Minister's office both issued, not involved, statements that sounded more like legal disclaimers than official welcomes. Even the Australian Federal Police, who usually handle high-level protection for visiting dignitaries, have refused to confirm even the most basic arrangements. It's as if the entire Australian government has decided that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are a political liability they can no longer afford to defend in public. And as the signatures climb toward the 50,000 mark, the Sussex camp is finding itself increasingly isolated in a country they once considered a stronghold. But if you think the petition is the biggest problem they're facing, you haven't seen the financial records that were just exposed. While the public was focused on the petition, an even more explosive scandal was brewing behind the scenes of Meghan Markle's upcoming Her Best Life retreat. The event is being organized by Gemma O'Neill, a name that was relatively unknown until a series of official documents from the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, ASIC, came to light. These aren't just rumors or speculation. These are hard facts etched into the public record. Just weeks before the retreat was announced with great fanfare, O'Neill's talent agency went into voluntary liquidation. The numbers are staggering and frankly alarming. A total debt of over $546,000. With nearly every cent, roughly $543,000, owed directly to the Australian Taxation Office, this creates a narrative that is nothing short of astonishing. How does someone whose primary business is collapsing under the weight of massive tax debt manage to secure the Duchess of Sussex as a headline speaker for a luxury event? But it goes even deeper. Records show that just 7 weeks before her agency officially went under, Gemma O'Neill purchased a luxury 3-bedroom cottage in Fitzroy Falls for over $1 million. The timing is so precise, it feels almost scripted. While her company told administrators there was no money left for repayments and that she had zero personal savings, she was simultaneously closing on $1 million property. This has led many to ask a very uncomfortable and very public question: where is the money for Meghan Markle's retreat actually coming from? And more importantly, where is the revenue from these $2,700 tickets really going? Administrators have already flagged a 7-figure commission payment in the company's records that had no clear commercial reasoning or documented loan agreement. It's a financial maze that looks more like a house of cards than a legitimate wellness retreat. And what happened next shocked even their most loyal supporters. As the date for Prince Harry's appearance at the Entourage Psychosocial Safety Summit in Melbourne drew closer, the sold-out narrative began to crumble in full view of the public. Originally, the event was pitched as a high-tier, exclusive gathering for the elite of the mental health world, the kind of event where you would expect to see world leaders and industry titans. Platinum tickets were priced at a jaw-dropping $2,378 for the average Australian. That's 2 months' rent or a family's grocery budget for half a year. But just 9 days before the event, something very strange happened on the booking page. Without any announcement or PR spin, new ticket tiers were quietly added. Suddenly, you could get a delegate pass for under $1,000, a massive 50% discount from the original entry price. In the world of event planning, this is what's known as a fire sale, a move made in desperation when the room is empty and the clock is ticking down. But why was there such a struggle to fill seats for a member of the British royal family? The answer might lie in a report from Inside Scoop, which claimed that Prince Harry wasn't even the first choice for the organizers. He was allegedly brought in as a Hail Mary replacement after another high-profile speaker, Deepak Chopra, had to be dropped due to his name appearing in past controversial files. If true, it suggests that Prince Harry is no longer the headliner he once was. He's the backup plan. And for a man who reportedly commands a $50,000 speaking fee, being a replacement is a hard pill to swallow. It raises a bigger question: are people actually paying to hear Prince Harry's perspective? Or are organizers simply using his title to salvage a failing business deal that was already underwater? But while the summit's pricing was being slashed, Meghan Markle's retreat was facing a much stranger and far more personal problem. If you were told you had to pay $2,699 for a weekend retreat, what would you expect? Most people would assume a private room, high-end amenities, and a touch of the luxury the Duchess of Sussex is known for. But the Her Best Life retreat at the Intercontinental Coogee Beach offered a very different definition of value. Buried in the fine print of the booking page was a detail that left potential attendees stunned. For nearly $2,700, you weren't even guaranteed your own bed. The standard package expected high-paying guests to share a room, and in some cases, a bed, with a complete stranger. If you wanted the luxury of sleeping alone, you had to upgrade to a VIP tier, pushing the price well above $3,000. This sparked a wave of intense criticism online, with many calling it a glamorized sleepover rather than a professional retreat. Critics questioned how a duchess who lives in a $16 million mansion in California and has never shared a room with a stranger in her adult life could promote empowerment while charging thousands for such arrangements. It began to feel less like a retreat and more like a high-density profit model designed to extract maximum revenue from the venue. The contrast between the lavish lifestyle Meghan Markle promotes and the reality she is selling to attendees is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. But it wasn't just attendees feeling the pressure. The media was about to discover just how exclusive this event really was. Transparency has never been the Sussexes' strong suit, but the 2026 Australian tour appeared to take gatekeeping to a whole new level. Ariana Peake, a veteran reporter for 7 News, decided to test the claims herself. She didn't use media credentials or request a press pass. She went in as a private citizen. She paid the full $2,699 ticket price out of her own pocket, just like any other attendee. She received her confirmation email, and everything seemed set. But then she made one simple request. She asked for a formal tax invoice and mentioned her background in digital media. The reaction from the organizers was immediate and brutal. Her ticket was immediately canceled, and her money was refunded without a second thought. The reason given was curt and vague, not permitted. The problem, however, was that no such rule existed anywhere on the website at the time of purchase. This didn't feel like an effort to protect guest privacy. It felt like an attempt to control the narrative, ensuring that no one with a critical eye or professional background could witness what was actually happening behind closed doors. The move backfired spectacularly when 7 News aired the story, showing the emails and the sudden revocation of her access. It painted a picture of an organization seemingly afraid of being exposed. It raises a simple question. If it's just yoga and manifestation, why the extreme secrecy? While the media was being shut out, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were making a PR misstep that would haunt the rest of their trip. When the petition against their taxpayer-funded security crossed 30,000 signatures, their team had an opportunity to respond with humility and clarity. Instead, they chose sarcasm. An official spokesperson issued a response that has since been dubbed the moot point disaster. The statement dismissed the petition as ridiculous and accused it of spreading misinformation. It then made a baffling argument. Because 99.9% of Australians hadn't signed the petition, they must therefore support the visit. The spokesperson even went as far as to call the petitioners' logic stupid. It was a striking display of tone deafness. You don't win over a country by insulting tens of thousands of its citizens in a formal statement. The backlash was immediate. Within 24 hours, the petition gained another 5,000 signatures, fuel thrown directly onto a growing fire. The group behind the petition responded with a single cutting line: silence does not equal consent. The attempt to dismiss critics only made Prince Harry and Meghan Markle appear more disconnected and defensive. To understand why this visit is unraveling, you have to look back at 2018. Back then, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were seen as the golden couple. They carried out 76 engagements across 4 countries in just 16 days, appearing everywhere from the Sydney Opera House to Bondi Beach, and even in small rural towns. One of the most iconic moments came when Prince Harry stood in the pouring rain, refusing an umbrella so he could speak with drought-stricken farmers. It felt genuine. It felt human. Now, in 2026, that version of Prince Harry feels distant. The 2018 tour was open and accessible. The 2026 visit is shielded behind paywalls and security barriers. Where thousands once lined the streets, organizers have now canceled all public walkabouts. According to leaked planning notes from Liam Maguire, there will be no public appearances in Sydney, Melbourne, or Canberra, officially due to security costs. But the public isn't convinced. Many see a shift from public service to private profit, a transformation from royal representatives to commercial personalities. And the financial questions only deepen the controversy. Buried in a February 24 report by Grant Thornton, detailing the collapse of Gemma O'Neill's agency, is a troubling detail: a 7-figure commission paid to an unnamed key client shortly before the company entered liquidation. There was no documented loan agreement, no clear commercial justification, and no measurable benefit to the business. In forensic accounting, that's a major red flag. While the recipient hasn't been named, the timing has sparked intense speculation. Was it a prepayment for a high-profile speaker, or a way to move funds out of a failing company before creditors could act? Administrators have suggested the agency may have been insolvent as early as December 2024. If true, it means deals, including those tied to Meghan Markle's retreat, may have been signed while the company was already financially compromised. That's not just questionable business. It could become a legal issue. Meanwhile, questions continue about the decision to ban a paying journalist. If the retreat is truly about empowerment and wellness, why exclude independent scrutiny? Some critics believe the event is less about transformation and more about carefully curated content designed to support future branding efforts. Without media present, there's less risk of uncomfortable realities surfacing: shared accommodations, limited access to Meghan Markle, or attendance numbers that don't match the sold-out narrative. But in the age of smartphones, secrecy rarely lasts. If inconsistencies exist, they are likely to surface. All of this is unfolding against the backdrop of a cost-of-living crisis in Australia. Rising interest rates, soaring grocery bills, and housing pressures have left many families struggling. Into that environment come $2,700 retreats and $2,300 speaking events. PR analyst Maya Rios described the situation as totally tone-deaf. The optics are difficult to ignore, calls for taxpayer-funded security alongside premium, bumped-priced access to appearances. Even Prince Harry's own past words about privilege creating blind spots now feel uncomfortably relevant. Critics argue that this situation reflects exactly that disconnect. As scrutiny grows, the larger question isn't just about this trip, it's about the future of the Sussex brand. The contrast with 2018 is stark. What was once seen as authentic public service is now, in the eyes of critics, viewed as commercialized influence. Royal commentator Tom Bower and others have long warned about the risks of monetizing royal status. By trying to balance prestige with profit, the line between service and business becomes blurred. The unresolved questions, particularly around the seven-figure payment, continue to cast a shadow. And as more details emerge, the story is likely to evolve further. This isn't just about a visit to Australia. It's about perception, credibility, and whether a global brand can recover once public trust begins to erode. The Australian public has delivered a clear message. The only remaining question is whether Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are willing or able to hear it.